while Daniel's going to his chair, I am going to ask Elizabeth Uribe to come to this chair right up here. It is Conversation Sunday, and you know what? It feels like vulnerability, vulnerable sharing is the theme of the day. Now, you've been in the room while we've done other conversations, so
Yes.
you're probably not going to be taken aback that I've got my phone out right now. But just as a reminder, or if folks are seeing this for the first time, once a month we do a Conversation Sunday. It's pretty rare that I get to have this conversation with a congregant. I've had a couple, but not many. And it's even more rare to have a conversation like this with somebody who's representing themselves. And it is a gift. Let's start off with the question I ask every person who comes up here. How would you like to introduce yourself to this room full of people?
Yeah, I've been debating with that since you asked me that. I was like, I think I'm just a regular person who had a regular life and then ended up here with everybody.
Yeah.
In the most extraordinary way.
Yeah.
I don't know that I am actually debating with that, and I've been debating with it since you asked me.
Okay.
So I was like, but I don't know how to put that. Until today, I don't know still, but I'm still a work in progress, obviously. But Elizabeth.
Yeah.
From California.
So, Elizabeth from California, one of the things that came up is that you've been rather duplicitous with us. You've been living a lie all this time amongst us.
Yes.
And I was wondering if you can set the record straight, just clear the air about this big scandal.
Yes. So actually, my name is Joanne Elizabeth Lee. So when I came here, I actually was using my husband's name. And since only my mom, my dad, and my husband call me Joanne, don't call me Joanne. It's Elizabeth. So yeah, and that's the nice little lie.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, I feel like it's a gift to be able to have how the other person prefers to be referred to.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So 2 years ago, you lived in California.
Yes.
Elizabeth from California.
Yeah.
What brought you to Portland?
My husband had decided that it was time to kind of be closer to his family. He had compromised a lot, and he was in California. So we decided to come over here, build a little business that we had going, and that's what led us over here. Exactly on July 4th, we came here in 2024.
2024,
exactly.
July 4th.
Yeah, we got here to Oregon.
Yeah.
Interestingly enough, it's actually, we were right here, really close. You know where the Fred Meyer that closed?
Yeah.
Right there.
Wow.
So interesting. I was very interested in how close we were by here. Up Park Rose. So yeah.
That's super close.
Yes.
It's right down the street.
Yes.
So I'm going to bring up something that some people in the room might be wondering about. You came up here with your husband.
Yes.
But I've never met your husband.
Correct.
Does he just not like us?
No, no, it's not that. So, I said I was going to hold it together, but then your song kind of broke me. So I was doing well.
Daniel, this is your fault.
I came in July 2024. In August, my husband had an aneurysm. He had 3 and 1 burst, the biggest one.
Yeah.
And then in September, he passed away.
Can you imagine uprooting your life? I know some of you can. Some of you have had this experience or an experience like this. For the rest of us, can you imagine uprooting your life, going into parts unknown, starting things over with your partner.
Yes.
You know, you're supporting them. You have hopes and dreams for that new chapter. That's why you're moving.
Yes.
And the other person has an emergency medical event and dies. These stories that we carry with us that people can't necessarily tell by looking at us.
Yeah.
So what brought you to our church?
Well, after my husband had passed away, and it took me a long time to actually, get his body, get all that process. But in that process, I was having difficulty driving, I was having difficulty sleeping, there's situations. So I ended up going to the doctor who diagnosed me right away with certain things, broken heart syndrome, which mirrors a heart attack, and then I had something called stress pain. And I worked in the medical field a long time, and I never really paid attention to what that really meant. But when I was there with her, she gave me a list of resources, because by that time, my husband's family said I killed my husband. So obviously that separation happened right away. Packed my things and they exited me out. So it was very.
For those who may be wondering what that means, it sounds like they blamed you for
his aneurysm. Yes, and they blame me because at the end of the day, I had to make a very hard choice. My daughter and I, she came from Virginia, and my daughter and I had to make a very, 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 and I am very appreciative with the doctors who told me it was the most honorable thing I could do for my husband. Mm-hmm. But by the time, they gave me 10 days to decide if he was going to make it and he was not. And I remember all the people who went into that trauma center, that 10 days when they were reaching out and speaking and moving their hands. I was so jealous. So I knew exactly what was happening. And I had already reached to my medical friends in California, and I sent his file, and they were very transparent with me. So I already knew. And
you knew his end of life, priorities and
the quality of life. My husband would have no quality of life. He was blind by that time. He had other aneurysms that had happened on the other side of his brain. He would never walk. He would never speak. He would never. If he lasted 6 months, I think I would be lucky. Yeah. So, because his family asked the doctor, "Do you believe in miracles?" and he said yes. But he told them, "This is the most honorable thing you can do for him." And they said no. And I said, "You don't have a choice. I'm making that choice, and my daughter is making that choice, and my son is making that choice."
It's such a hard choice.
It is.
To have to make.
It is because my husband was 49. He didn't have any medical conditions, so he lasted quite a while before that happened. Yeah.
It was out of nowhere.
Yeah, he had a strong heart, and it was out of nowhere. And it wasn't, he didn't have high blood pressure, he didn't have cholesterol problems, he had no symptoms. And unfortunately, as I learned more, that is unfortunate. It happens more than we know.
So you mentioned you worked in the medical field. What was your career?
Human resources. I've been in it all my life. I actually went into it because my doctor's first patient, when he passed away, when I was studying, I couldn't handle it. So my dad said, you can't handle it, you can't tolerate it, you got to go something else in the medical field. So I went into human resources, and I was a director at St. John's in California.
Not a small place.
No, not a small place at all.
So your husband died.
Yes.
You had been cut off from his family.
Yes.
And you had come all the way up here. Were you working as an HR director at that time?
No, none of us were working. We had savings. We were going to be here for a little bit. We had a plan. We were just looking at a place nearby here as well. So so that's where we were at.
So what How did that leave you then?
With nothing. As a matter of fact, nothing. Yeah, nothing, because we sold everything and came over here.
Yeah.
I had everything in storage, and I still have it in storage, but nothing, absolutely nothing.
So by nothing,
My car.
how were you living?
Oh, so by the time, so the doctor gave me that resource center. And in that resource the list, it was like 5 or 6 places, you know, Cultivate Initiatives, other churches. And I had already gone to another place. And I remember I'd just gone to there and asked, you know, I just need to come in, do a little prayer. I need to think, because I was so upset with God.
Yeah.
I was so upset with life. I was so upset with what happened with my husband. I was just upset.
Yeah.
And I remember where I went, and I'm not going to mention it because it's just not needed. And it was all locked. And they said, you can come in, but, you know, you can't go to this side of the church. You must stay in this side of the church and do your thing and leave. And I looked at him and I said, is there anybody to talk to? And he said, no. I'll never forget that. And I went in there and I was like, no. And I sat there, and so it just made me more upset, because to me that was God's house.
Yeah.
So I was upset, and I was like, he said no.
And
So then I
you're in
left.
pain. You want to talk with somebody.
Yes,
Yeah.
and I needed to talk to somebody at that time. So I left, and then, so one of the things I struggled with, and I don't think I mentioned to you, is leaving that hospital. You have to understand, I was there almost 2 months before he passed away. I didn't leave the hospital. I ate there, I showered there, I was there. So it was hard for me to leave that hospital once that time came. So I went back, and I was staying at the hospital. I was staying in my car in the hospital. So it was, yeah. So
You
when
were
I
staying in your car
in the hospital.
at the hospital.
Sometimes I was staying inside, because the nurses that got to know me there,
Yeah.
were kind of taking care of me as well. So
Yeah.
sometimes, but it wasn't always allowed. So yeah. So I was in my car.
Is that when your arm started freezing up?
Okay. So
Because some of us may remember when you started coming here, your arm wasn't
yes,
working.
I could not move. I could not move this arm. I had it stuck here,
Yeah.
and it was coming to my other shoulder when I met Erica. And when I reference to Erica in all my conversation, it's Erica and Travis.
Yeah.
So I just want to, that's very important to me to point. I mean, I know Travis didn't say anything, but I know it's Erica and Travis. So I just want to point that out on all this conversation. But
So how did you come to meet Erica?
the resource list, I ended up here because I needed a shower.
Yeah.
I said, let me just go over there.
And at this point, you can't get the shower at the hospital.
At that time, the nurses at the hospital said, Elizabeth, you either need to go to therapy here or you need to find a place.
Yeah.
And I went one time to therapy, and that was not for me.
Yeah.
Because one of the things that they ask you in therapy, or they tell you in therapy, is they're at a better place. And I remember I told her, no, a better place is next to me.
Yeah.
You know, that's not a better place. I think you have your words wrong. I said, that's the worst thing you can tell someone in this situation. And I said, so I removed myself. And I said, okay. But then I started feeling really sick, really sick. I remember my vision. I won't forget that, because I was like, oh, I can't drive like this. So I ended up there. Her resource center had a shower here. And I came the very first time. I couldn't get off my car. I couldn't find it. I had to wait till next Wednesday. So I was like, I need a shower. So I came in that Wednesday. I came in here and I sat down. And I think that Wednesday was a busy Wednesday for them. Yeah. Not as busy as it is now, but it was a busy Wednesday there, because they had a lot of people. And I sat down.
That was probably back when like 35 people was a lot.
Yes.
Yeah. Now 60 people is a lot.
Yes. And I sat in a chair, and I could not bring myself to say anything to anybody. So I sat there, and then I just started crying. And Erica has this thing that I've adapted now that is just genuinely.
For those who don't know, Erica is
The director.
our community life director, in addition
Yes.
to being our children and youth director.
Yes.
And I call her the captain of Wellness Wednesday. It does not work nearly as well without
Yeah.
Erica.
So Erica came up and said, "Are you okay, darling?" You know, she just grabbed my arm, and as soon as she grabbed my arm, the waterworks just started, and I couldn't hold it together to even tell her anything. So I just started crying and crying.
Well, where do you begin?
Yes.
Like, yeah.
And then it was so neat because Erica was like, "You don't have to say anything." And then the sweetest, most lovable person came out of the back of, "Would you like me to bring you a lunch sack here?" So that I didn't have to walk over there because I was just crying. That was Lucille.
Lucille.
Yes. She went up to there and she with the most motherly, put my little lunch. And so she gave it to me. And then she came back and said, "Would you like a sack lunch to take with you?" And I just looked at her and I said, "Sure." And she brought me a sack lunch as well to take before. So that's the very first time that I met them. And then Erica started talking to me, and I started kind of explaining things to her, whatever I could get out. And I was explaining to her. By that time, showers were closing. And I don't know what she did. She talked to, what's her name? I forget. Sandra, who now I have in my contacts, and I'm always in contact with her. Sandra, this happened, and we were talking, and they let me take a shower that last hour, and they were already packing up, so they were so beautiful. And then Erica said, "Come back next Wednesday." And so I was like, "Yep, this is where I want to come back to."
Yeah.
So I came back that Wednesday. The nurse station had not been here yet, but then I started talking to Erica about my health. I started talking to her about. And Erica so genuinely said, "Elizabeth, there's a lot of resource here. Let's get your help." And I looked at her and I said, "I've already tried them all. In Oregon and in many states, I think." And I'm not going to talk bad about them because it's just politics and all this stuff. But unfortunately, when you make certain type of income, you don't qualify for any assistance. And unfortunately for me, my income in California, obviously California wages are much different than here,
Right.
disqualified me for anything. And
they don't make any distinction between like your circumstances the year before and your circumstances in the present.
And never in my life, I've worked all my life. I remember I got my little work permit early to start working to get money, And I've worked all my life. I've never had assistance, not even when my kids were born or anything. I never got any of that. Yeah. And I remember so clearly when they said, "Well, you can get WIC." And so I said, "Well, let's leave it for somebody else who needs it. I don't need it. I'm going to pass on that." So I remember when I was talking to the EDD lady, I said, "All my life I've worked. I've never asked you guys for anything. And you're telling me that I don't qualify? And I don't qualify in 3 months. I can come back in 6 months and find out if I qualify."
Yeah.
And she said to me, "You probably won't qualify then either." So I was like,
"So you're living out of your car?"
Yes, and that was a big deal.
Yeah.
You know what she said to me?
You don't have a job.
She said to me,
"You don't have your partner.
But you have a car."
But you've got a car.
Oh, she said that to me, and I was like, "What?" And then she said,
"Aren't you lucky?
Nah. And then
you get to sleep out of your car."
Yes. And then she said, "Now, if you were to tell me," and this is very important because I'll tell you guys why. "If you have a drug addict problem, or if you have an alcoholism problem, or if you have a mental health problem, we can talk." And I looked at her and I said, "But we don't." And I said, "But you can say it because we don't really talk about it." And I looked at her and I looked at her name, and I looked at her desk and I said, "You're telling me to lie to you in your face so that I can get benefits?" She's like, "Well, I'm just saying that if you have any of that, since you are, homeless is what now I was considered, you'll qualify." And I said, no. And I got up and I came, and I remember I vented with Erica. And Erica was like, what? And I said, this is what they told me. And I was still crying. I was upset. This is one of the reasons that I was so upset, too, with life, I think, and with God and everything. And it was just hard. And I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
So then Erica started helping me out. Well, let's find a place for you. There's a lot. And when I went to those places, I either had to have a mental health condition. I either had to be on drugs or alcohol, or I had to have something that put me in the spectrum of assistance. I couldn't just be homeless. And I had a car. That's what killed me a lot. I had a car. So I wasn't out in the streets, but I had a car.
Yeah.
I was like, okay. So that was difficult. Erica put me into contact with Nazarene Church. They actually have a village that is called Agape Village. Agape Village has no restrictions into assisting you. You just have to be able to pass their background, show that you can meet the requirements of the program, and that you're willing to be in that program.
So
which is getting
Agape
healthy.
Village is like one of the first micro villages in Portland, I believe. Right?
One of them, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, and it's on a hill. You also have to have the ability to get up that hill, walk up that hill and down. It's
Nazarenes love their churches on hills.
Yes, you have to be able to walk up that hill, and then from that hill, walk up the hill to the village. So It was very interesting. But when Erica introduced me to Sarah, Sarah is Erica and Erica is Sarah. That is the most interesting. There's this YouTube video that tells a story about a man, a very godly, loving man who trusted God in all his heart and was in a storm. And I have reference to this so much. And he said, well, I'm a faithful person, you know, my faith, God will rescue me. And somebody came to try to rescue him. I'm doing it short, but somebody came to try to rescue him. He said, no, my faith will save me, God will save me. And, 2-3 people did that. And at the end, he drowned. And he went to heaven, and he said, God, I asked you for help, and I'm my faith, and I'm a good person, and you didn't help me. And he's like, yes, I did. I sent you this, I sent you that, I sent you this. That, I reference to that a lot, because I was in my car when I heard that.
Yeah.
You're on your phone trying to look for things, and something comes up, and you're on your phone, and that's what happened to me. But I took the help, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because when I came back that following Wednesday, I met beautiful Vicky, who always asked me, how are you doing today? And allowed me to hug her. I'm a hugger. By that time, I was so sentimental. And
Is Vicky in the room? Okay, all right.
Always hugged, She never said anything, so I never knew anything till way after. And I was like, oh.
You mean later Vicky told you I'm not a hugger?
No, she didn't even tell me. Somebody else.
Okay, all right.
Because somebody saw me hug her. And I've always hugged Vicky
Yeah.
and Cecile and Erica and Lucy, And I was like, well, what do you mean? And she said, well, didn't you know? I was like, no, I don't. So, so then, interestingly enough, when I went over there, I qualified.
At Agape Village.
At Agape Village,
Yeah.
I qualified. By that time, I'd already entered into therapy.
Yeah.
Because
Physical therapy?
yes.
Yeah.
So right in the middle of all that, so I had a blood pressure of 210, I think 206. Then it went to 210. So I was still functioning, and they didn't understand how that was happening.
Yeah.
I understood later. When when you put things together and you say how God helps you, even though you're so mad, because I was so mad at him.
Yeah. And at this point, if I recall correctly, you are a regular during Wellness Wednesday.
So
You're
yes.
helping Erica at this point?
Yes. So I started coming in, and Erica already knew that I couldn't move this, and she knew that I was in a lot of pain.
Yeah.
One of the things that the doctor tried to do with me was put me on antidepressants, stress, all those medications. I come from the medical field. I know the consequences of doing that, and I know how addictive they are. So, and sleeping. She needed me to sleep because what she had ended up doing is sending me back to the hospital. Interestingly enough, the hospital where my husband was at, because they thought I was having a heart attack.
And they're trying to get your
Everything
blood
down.
pressure down.
Yes.
So they got to try to get you less stressed.
Yes, and sleep more because I wasn't
more.
sleeping. But it was so funny because she mentioned to me that the medication she was going to give me may provoke me to hurt myself or hurt somebody else, so she needed me to tell her right away.
Yeah.
Because then they would give me another medication to control that.
So,
and I remember Wellness Wednesday was the very first time the nurses came back. And the gentleman who I had spoken to, I said, well, this and this and this, and I explained it to him. And he said, well, I'm going to confess something to you. I am on that medication, Elizabeth. And yes, they'll wean you off it, but yes, it's very addictive. But, he tried to give me the reason. And so I told him, can I ask you a question? And he was like, yeah. And I said, how come you guys don't give me 3 months of, I had a doctor who I worked with, Alexis.
Yeah.
He would give his diabetic and his stress person a prescription that said walk 30 minutes every day. So then I started walking 10,000 steps every single day.
Yeah.
And, with vitamins, it all controlled my vitamins. As long as I stabilized my vitamins, everything started going down and down.
So
but in Wellness Wednesday,
I'm going to transition us a little bit here. So we're going to fast forward in the story a little bit.
Yes.
Eventually, you're accepted into Agape Village.
Yes. And I'm here every Wednesday.
And you're here every Wednesday.
Yes. I try to take the burden off Erica on the bathrooms and stuff like that because I needed to move my arm. I needed to exercise.
Hey, one of the things we've set up here from the front, if you want to help, we would love to have your help on Wellness Wednesday. Yes. But it may not be the kind of help you want to do. Yeah. Like you may have a brilliant idea, but there's also the things we need to do. And one of the things we need to do, clean the bathrooms. And just last Sunday, we had a lovely person step up when we needed to clean the bathrooms here. It's not a glorious job, but it's important for everybody's safety.
Yes. And by that time, Erica had already invited me to church.
Yeah.
And I came here like 2 times. I don't know if anybody saw my car, and I was in my car just crying. I didn't get off.
Yeah.
But the 3rd time I got off. And then I remember, I don't know who was up here who just kept looking at me because I couldn't hold it together. I just couldn't. And I think for the first 2 or 3, even you would look at me and say, not in a bad way, but like to say, I wonder if she's okay, And so I would always leave before you finished. Yeah. I did that like for 2 or 3 times. And then finally, when things started getting a little bit health-wise better, and I was able to control not to cry, I would stay, and it was just great.
Yeah.
So before I went to Agape Village, that kind of happened, and it was important because I didn't make it in, but I was here in the parking lot, and I stayed the hour. I left right before you guys finished.
So, and now you're a regular part of the church.
Yes.
Even though our lovely friends with the Agape Village ask you to go to their church.
Yes. Yes. So I got accepted at Agape Village, and one of the requirements, just so you know, to be up there is you had to put volunteer hours in. And so my volunteer hours were here on Wellness Wednesday.
Yeah.
So I disappeared because they have a requirement, to go every Wednesday to their meetings.
Yeah.
So I did go to the meeting because it was Agape Village. But then afterwards, I would leave immediately, and she's like, I said, well, you guys have a requirement. I'm going to make my volunteer hours. So I still continue to come.
So we're going to now fast forward to where we are today. How are things different for you today versus when we first met you?
Well, my heart's still broken, but I'm actually the director of Human Resource Director at Agape Village.
Yeah.
Yes. But it is important for me, for all of you to know, and even if you're new, I cannot make it there if it wasn't for Park Rose Community Church. And I need you guys to understand that. It's very important.
You know, Elizabeth approached me a few months ago. I was in the hallway after a service, and Elizabeth said, "You guys don't understand the impact you have on some of our lives.
Yes.
So I would like to tell my story and have a conversation one Sunday so that you can get an idea."
Yes, it was so important for me for you to know. Even, Cecile always sat next to me or had me sit next to her when I was first crying a lot.
Yeah.
She'd just grab my hand, pat my, she's, "You're gonna be okay." And so it was so important for me to tell you guys that I know you have Wellness Wednesdays, Fridays, and Monday, because I was always promoting Monday and Fridays too. And I was like, no, it's not just Wednesdays, but it goes beyond that, because there's a lot more behind the story that Erica and Travis did for me that helped, like they say in Park Rose, in Agape Village, break that cycle. So there's a lot more behind that. So it is so important that I understand, somebody said to me, "But it's such a small church." I said, "Oh, you have no idea how big the power that they have." So it was so important for me to everybody to understand and know the impact. I understand I mentioned certain individuals, but it's everybody, because you can see how everybody works together.
Yeah.
And how, let me refer you to this, or let me show you this, or let me talk to, Barbara, or let me talk to somebody else. And those little key things, key factors, well, the sheer fact how I was welcomed, nobody asked me any questions. They saw my eyes, and I would leave early sometimes, and sometimes I wouldn't, and but nobody ever questioned. The words that you have were so important to me when I sat here the very first time. Whoever you are, wherever you are welcome here. This is so important to me. In that time frame, in those little seconds, that means a lot more than you will ever know. Yeah. So it's important for me for people to understand that it's not just a church, it is, that's the key, Park Rose, community, but it was so hard for me, for everyone it was important for me for everyone to know that there's something beyond that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so important.
Yeah. Your story means so much to me, and we do say those words each and every Sunday. They're important words, but they don't mean anything if people don't experience it, if we don't take it seriously. And I've said some Sundays, we don't always do it perfectly. We stumble and we fall, and it's a goal that we're constantly shooting for, we're pursuing. But we also, we have to dust ourselves off and try again.
Yes.
But luckily we get to do it as a community. It's not just Giuseppe doing it. It's not just Erica doing it. We get Elizabeth's help these days. We get
and
all
I
of your
stumble
help.
and I fall now.
Yeah.
I do. But there's something that when they told me their program and so forth, that I did not compromise with them.
Yeah.
And that was the hours Sunday. Because you have to understand, when I first started working at Agape Village, I was actually an overnight shelter staff person at nights. I was working 12 hours at nights. And I took that because I needed to do exercise. And then one of the things that I did over there that helped my arm as well, they have these biggest glass doors. And I said, "Can I clean all those prints off your doors?" And
you got to move your arm.
I had to, because that therapy was over, and I had to continue.
Yeah.
Because before it went to the other side. So yeah, and here.
That's true. I've seen you. Yeah. I've seen you do it. Elizabeth, thank you so very much.
Thank you for having me.
Do we have any questions for Elizabeth before we go to our last song? Okay, we've got a couple right up here, and then one right back there. Let's start with Julie, and then Rita, and then Ann. Let's get the mic to you. I know.
I'm just curious where Agape Village is located. In my mind, I'm feeling like it's in Clackamas up on a hill, but I don't think that's
It's actually on Powell Boulevard, right by the freeway,
okay.
97.
All right.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And they got open pods if you guys are looking, except I will be fair, they have to be committed to the program. One of the requirements, regardless of your situation, you must abide by the program, which means no alcohol, no drugs.
It's not a low barrier program like We Shine Village. It's a high barrier.
It's a high barrier in that they're there to help you. And that's one of the things that I do love about Agape Village, because that's what Agape is, love.
Yeah.
You have to put in. You have to, no matter what. I've referred people, and we've referred people, and I know here, but you have to put in.
Yeah.
You can't go in there and say, okay, I just need a place to stay. No, you need to do your volunteer hours. You need to do rehab if that's what you're in. You need to go to the alcohol, and you have to put into that program. Yeah. That is not one of the programs like, you just have a place to stay and you can milk it for a year. And I'm sorry I said that, but no, you have to want it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Rita? Where's Steve? There he is.
Oh, and Rita.
Elizabeth, yeah, I hope you have a place. No?
Yes, I do. That's a very good question. I do have my own apartment and everything's very well.
Wonderful. Well,
Yeah.
Elizabeth, our prayers and love and encouragement and endless of love to you. And
Rita always would ask me, how are you doing, darling? Are you all right? She never asked me what happened, but she would always ask every single time I saw her.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm good, Rita.
It gives me a
Thank
good
you.
feeling
Thank
that I'm comforting someone
Yes,
that needs
thank
it.
you.
I know how that feels.
Thank
So
you,
bless
Rita.
your heart.
Okay, and let's get Ann, and then we'll wrap up.
I was most moved and could really identify with a situation where it would have been easier to lie. But it's like, I still have to live with me. So you may accept that, but I can't accept it. Do you know what I'm saying? So I really wanted to honor you for doing that.
Oh, thank you.
Because I'm sure that it wasn't easy. There must have been a little part of you that's like, I could just do this and then it would just be a lot easier that way. But it's not easier with living with yourself.
Well, the doctors called my situation, it was a catastrophic, is what they categorized. Yes.
Yeah.
Situation. So I think you have to have a lot of strength to give up to that level. I mean, mentally and heart. And I always grew up with God in my life, so that wasn't an option. But yeah, I mean, I'm sure there are a lot of people who have fallen into that.
Yeah.
For me, that wasn't an option, but I knew I had to figure something out because I wasn't well at all. And then I don't want to leave Oregon.
Yeah, I can empathize with people who have to make that choice, but I'm grateful you weren't.
Yeah, and I
I
can't leave to California. Now I have to stay. I love Park Rose, and so
well, we love
that's
you.
the only thing I won't compromise, and that's what I tell everybody. Sorry, my Sundays I can't compromise. This is not an option.
Elizabeth, thank you so much. Can I give you a hug?
Yes, always. Thank you so much for having me.
Well, thank you.